This was messy. Let's be honest. I'm not even going to try and start this video off with some type of a hook like, was it as good as the Cell Saga? Or did it live up to everything that came before it? Like, it's just... It was a clear step down. I don't think anybody's going to argue that this wasn't a clear step down. Now, that doesn't mean that it was bad, and that's not what I'm saying. There are some absolutely phenomenal moments in this, some really great beats, comedy beats, character beats, all of the above. But it was just, if you're going to end the entire thing of Dragon Ball, right? You want to kind of go out at the high point and go out with a bang. No. Yeah? Yeah. Let's talk about it. So what do I mean by messy? It just feels like there was absolutely so much thrown at this with no real plan or idea of what he was doing or where he was going at any real point during the saga. In a sense, it kind of feels like the Cell Saga in that's felt pretty much how that felt like. It was a series of missteps and course corrections and all of this other stuff and just throwing stuff at it. And somehow at the end of the day, that saga stuck the landing, came out on the right side of the line, and came out beautifully. This one, not so much. So this series opens up with Gohan now in high school and trying to manage that life. And of course, Dragon Ball needs kids. Like, you have to introduce a new kid character every time somebody ages out of that role. Because, I mean, let's be real. This was built on little kid Goku. So every time he grows up or somebody grows up, we need more kid characters. So introduce Trunks and Gotenks. Trunks we know, of course, because he was introduced in the last saga. Gotenks literally disappears out of nowhere like magic, which we can't really use that as a ding against him because if you remember, that's literally how Gohan appeared 3 sagas ago or whatever. Now let's start off with some good. Really pack on some praise before we get into some critiques here. But the callbacks really work. They always have, they probably always will. It starts off pretty much with everybody gearing up and getting ready for a tournament. It's like the 200th tournament that we've been to in this entire fucking manga, and it works. It always works. I love it. It's like probably my favorite part of the entire series is every time we go back to another one, and it just touches a little soft spot in my heart. No complaints. And of course, we're going to get Vegeta and Gohan round 2 in this manga, and it is fucking wonderful. Let's go ahead and heap some praise on that one right now as well. Not only is the reason for this fight happening because Vegeta purposefully gets him possessed by one of the main bad guys of the story just so that he can get a power boost to take on Goku, which works out like just... As far as a character beat is concerned, it works perfectly. As far as themes is concerned, it works perfectly. It is just such a wonderful moment for anyone who's been following this especially from the beginning up until now. It is such a satisfying just beat all the way around for the story. And it's essentially also the start of a character arc for Vegeta for this arc. Oh my God. Wonderful character work, wonderful arc, and wonderful payoff that he in particular is gonna get in this particular saga. And I haven't even got to the artwork and the paneling yet. Oh my God, the fight scene in particular between Gohan and Vegeta is fucking amazing. I would say outdoes the original first fight from them in pretty much every single way. And that fight scene is maybe the OG Vegeta Goku fight is maybe the most beloved fight scene in all of Dragon Ball. And I would say the paneling here is probably just better. That might be because of age and experience on Akira's part. Good stuff. And on top of that, the fact that the bad guys can't control Vegeta no matter how hard they try. So good. Now let's jump back to those kid characters that I mentioned real quick. Like I said, Dragon Ball is kind of built on these whole kid characters. They're kind of like the heart and the soul, the little happy-go-lucky center of the story, sometimes the center of the humor. And these ones are not good. Like, I do not like these kids. Trunks and Gotenks, they're like abrasive little brats the whole time. I did not like their characters in any way, shape, or form, from the first panel to the last. And you could argue that there's a point here where they fuse and the fusion takes their power levels up and then they become cocky and arrogant. And we even see that mirrored with Vegeta and Goku later on. But even when they're not under the influence of being fused, they're just kind of brats. I just didn't, yuck. I didn't enjoy their characters, and that was a bummer. I mean, you have the legacy of Dragon Ball starting off with that little kid Goku, and then we're going to make it all the way to the end with the little kid characters being these two, and it's just like, oof. And then there's Boo. And not the best antagonist in all of Dragon Ball, right? Actually, as a matter of fact, when he's initially introduced, I would say, as far as antagonists are concerned, he's flat out bad. He will eventually get some upgrades and some transformations, as we always do in Dragon Ball, which will make him infinitely better than how he's originally introduced. But even then, he's mediocre at best. And I can't stress enough, but this is the finale. We should be going out on top, right? Not with a, oh my gosh, not on the downslope. And then there's the power-ups, which are, by and large, pretty disappointing. Like, you get to Super Saiyan 3, which feels like it should be a really big deal. And Gohan uses it for a little bit and just kind of turns it off like, well, that was fun. And on top of that, we find out here that he literally could have defeated Boo right then and there if he wanted to, but he didn't because he wanted to let the kids realize that they could stand up for themselves, which doesn't happen because in the end of the manga, it's him and Vegeta taking out Boo in the first place while the kids sit on the sideline. So what was the point? Tell me, what was the point? Oh, that's right. There wasn't one Goku, you idiot. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, I will say at least that the one thing that Super Saiyan 3 does do is it really gives a gut punch to Vegeta and ultimately is a turning point in his mind and his mental state and his acceptance of who he is, who Goku is. It really is a turning point for Vegeta's arc, which is, I have already said, probably the best part of this entire saga. Oh yeah, and Goku uses it again one more time at the very end of the saga just to like run out of power like that because Super Saiyan 3 was essentially pointless. And then there's the power of fusion. And nobody likes fusion, right? Am I the only one in the room that thinks fusion was a terrible idea? Like, I don't know. Who said, you know what would be great if Vegeta and Goku fused together and became the same person and fought together? I mean, I guess we're going to multiply their powers together or something and make them infinitely powerful. But from a character perspective or from a, I don't know. I didn't ask for that. Didn't want it. I didn't enjoy reading it. I thought it was lame. Ugh, yuck. I didn't like the fusion powers on any level. Now, I will say, two things about the fusion power that were great. First off, if you're going to do the fusion power without the earring, that dance that you have to do in order to perform it, fucking hilarious. Mwah. Comedy gold. I don't think it gets much better than the fusion dance as far as comedy in this series is concerned. Two, it does create another beat for Vegeta, where he literally has to consciously put the earring in his ear after having just given away, basically selling his soul to the devil so that he can fight Goku. He has to consciously make the decision to put this earring in his ear in order to fuse with Goku to become strong enough to defeat the bad guy. Once again, adding another notch to Vegeta's just Boo Saga character arc belt, which is the greatest thing in this entire saga. Other than that, I would say fusion is the least cool power upgrade in the entire manga. Now, with all that being said, I really did enjoy the fact that at the very end of the saga, after everything has failed and everything has broken down and we have no hope left, it all comes down to Gohan and that ability of his called the Genki Dama, which is where he absorbs power from like the planet and the people around him in order to release it as a single attack, which I'm not even going to lie. This is a power that I have thought about multiple times as we've read through this manga. Like, where did that go? Like he used it, I want to say back in the Frieza saga as a big deal. And then it just went away and he never used it again. There have been a couple of times where I'm like, didn't he have that super ultimate like suck power move? What happened to it? So to have everything else fail and that be the one to come back, no Super Saiyan, no fusion, no whatever mode, I thought that was wonderful. Then on top of that, the fact that it really is Vegeta's plan, Vegeta's idea, he comes up with it, he executes it, he spearheads it, he runs it. I mean, if it weren't for him barking orders at the entire fucking universe, it wouldn't have gone through. So once again, completing that arc that we have been slowly working through, chipping away at in this saga for Vegeta. Just such a wonderful, wonderful, satisfying payoff for him and for Goku. Just that true arc. Like I said at the beginning, this arc was at its absolute strongest when it was focused on Goku and Vegeta. And a lot of that's Vegeta. You know, I mean, let's real fast breaking down that arc that I keep talking about. Dude starts off as normal Vegeta, mean dad. Then it goes to him selling his soul to the devil to fight his brother. Then it goes to him being crushed by the realization that even selling his soul to the devil was never going to make him powerful enough to beat Goku, because Goku is just stronger than he could ever be. Then he has to come to terms with that. Then he has to choose to give up his freedom in order to fight and fuse with his brother. And then after that, he's the one that has to come up with the plan to save the entire fucking universe. Just way to go, Vegeta. So all in all, at the end of the day, there are some genuinely wonderful things that happened in this arc. There are some wonderful payoffs, some satisfying character developments that just call back from the beginning to the end, or at least to the beginning of the end of certain characters' perspectives. Fucking just beautiful. But at the same time, it felt like a real struggle to get to some of those payoffs, like wading through a messy arc with a lame antagonist, crappy power upgrades, and lame kids. It wasn't bad, but it definitely was a step down from what came before it. I would have to say this one probably clocks in right around a 7. Anyway, everybody, as always, the link for my Patreon's in the description below. The link for my Discord's in the description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.